Hey, from Texas, it's Lindy Fulford with Striking Splendor, and I'm finishing up my 6-part series of the 5 love languages. So I'm glad that you joined us today because today's love language is physical touch. Okay, right? Everybody likes to talk about physical touch. And a lot of times, I would say husbands, the very first thing that they think of when they think of physical touch leads to the bedroom or wherever their minds take them. But that is not the only physical touch. Look, I'm blushing. That is not the only physical touch that we're talking about. When your love language is physical touch, you're also talking about so much more than just what happens under the sheets, okay? You're talking about hugs. You're talking about kisses. For some people, it is holding hands, and some people that means holding hands in public. It can just be a back rub, head scratch. My husband likes to have his head scratched. So it's so much more than that. Think about times that you're riding in the car and maybe you put your arm around your spouse's as you drive. So it's not just about the hanky panky that goes on in the bedroom. And on another note, when it comes to that, if your love language is physical touch and your spouse's love language is something different, it's okay. Maybe hugs aren't your thing, right? Maybe you are not a touchy-feely kind of person and you're more of a receiving gifts kind of person. It's one of those things that you still have to show your spouse how much you love them. So sometimes it's a little bit of a give and take, right? But again, it doesn't always have to lead straight to the bedroom, but it can. And for some of you out there, and wives, tell me if you know what I mean. Do you ever come home and even if it doesn't have to do with your love language, right? Even if it's not physical touch, your husband can't seem to keep his hands off of you in inappropriate places. I just want to throw that out there. That has nothing to do with the love languages. That is just something that I have seen that sometimes, seriously, stop. But then I say that, and the fact of the matter is if it ever really stopped, then you'd be wondering, who else is he grabbing, right? Okay. So that is a final love language, physical touch. It really is more emotional. It's more about, not in the bedroom, it's just more about the hugs. And even if you're just sitting next to them on the couch, maybe sometimes it's even just their hand on your leg or a pat on the back. Before, when you get in the car, maybe they lean over and kiss you. So it's so much more. And it's all about just embracing each other and learning to love one another. I hope you've really, really enjoyed this series because I've enjoyed this series. If you have not taken the love language test, make sure that you go and take it. It is hugely important to understand how your partner or even how the other members of your family, how they speak, what their love language is. So we talked about all the different love languages. We talked about quality time, acts of, I can't remember them off the top of my head. I've all of a sudden forgotten them, probably because I'm live. Acts of kindness. We talked about words of affirmation, physical touch, and what was the last one? I can't remember off the top of my head, so I apologize. But they're all super important. And if you are loving on your spouse the way that you want to be loved versus the way that they want to be loved, it's not going to come across. They're not going to feel what you're dropping. It just isn't going to work. It doesn't work that way. You have to find out what motivates that person and how they're loved. I mean, it's the same thing with motivation, right? You have to find out how someone is motivated, just like their love language. You have to find out what it is that makes them feel loved and embrace that. And I promise you, if you are struggling in your marriage, that was one of the first steps to really finding the piece that might be missing. And just take baby steps. It's not like you have to jump in overnight and just dive into it and do it. But then it makes you more aware of how your partner or how your spouse loves to be loved. And it's really important to do it with your kids too, because I promise you, if you have more than one kid, I can almost guarantee you that they have different love languages as well. So it's important that if you have a kid whose love language is physical touch, and so they like the hugs, and you have one that's words of affirmation, that you're treating them a little bit differently, because that's how they are going to feel important and loved. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this. If you missed any of the series, please make sure and go back and watch them, all six series, or 6 parts of it. And I will catch you on the other side. Night, y'all.